not as many women in the industry, but I don't think I'm the only one on this panel. Women with an E?
Not woman.
Woman?
So yeah, it should be plural.
Wait. Are you saying, what does it say on your program guide? Women. It's so weird. That's the thing where like people learning English have a hard time because it's not pronounced like woman and woman. It's like women. You change the W-O sound and not the men part and the man part. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
Yeah, we know English is hard and stupid.
Who else is supposed to be on this panel, by the way, in your program guide? That's who I guessed it would be. Alright. I guess we should wait for them. They're probably lost. How many here, by show of hands, this is their first Otakon? Oh, shit. How many here, this is not your first Otakon? Oh, there's more of you guys. What is the third option? First convention ever?
10 years.
What? Oh, we have some first conventions ever. Is everybody as lost as I am trying to get around? But you know what though, to be honest, the Baltimore Convention Center was very confusing. It was very, very confusing. And then it's like you had to go through like a tunnel to get to the other side. There was only one way through, and then everyone would get backed up because you can only that narrow path to get to the other side. So it's not like it was better. It's just what we were used to. We just knew where stuff was. So, okay. I'm just gonna ask more questions until my fellow people get here. SAO? Were there SAO people? Oh, there's like an SAO panel? For the movie Ordinal Scale. It's so good. Ordinal Scale is really good. Okay, so, I see Michelle. Okay, let's do it this way. People will raise their hands and then you keep adding to the pile. Okay? This is like when I was in Taiwan and we would stand up. The teacher, you like do your homework and then you correct it, and it's like, how many people got 10 questions wrong? And then whoever got 10 questions wrong, everybody had to stand up. And then she'd go around the room with a ruler, a stick, and then hit you. You stick your hand out, she'd hit you. And then she's like, how many of you guys got 9 questions wrong? So here's the thing. The people who got 10 questions wrong also got 9 questions wrong, right? So they would remain standing. And the people who only got 9 would stand up, and they just go all the way down to 0. Hi, Michelle. Hi. Long time no see. Oh, you got tan. You got tan.
Stephanie was in Italy with me for my wedding.
It was so beautiful.
A couple weeks ago.
It was so nice.
Seems like yesterday, doesn't it? Or like a month, or like a year ago.
You know what? Probably because you took that extra week for your honeymoon. The week I was in Italy, even though it was only a week, I felt like I'd been in Italy for a month.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like a long time. I don't know why. When I go on vacation, time like slows down.
It's like, whoa.
Until like the day before you have to leave, and then it all of a sudden speeds up. You're like, whoa.
You're like, wait.
It's over.
Foxy!
Sandy's here. Yay. Okay, so I was gonna ask a question like that for you guys, so I could hit you, just kidding. So let's do it this way. How many people have been anime fans for 10 years or more? Oh. Okay, I'm not gonna count all the way down. 5 years or more.
What's the question?
I want to see how long they've been anime fans. How many people have been anime fans for just a year or more? Oh wait, everybody, just only the 1 year people raise your hands. If only 1 year. Oh, okay. Okay, cool, interesting. But most of it is over 10 years. Because fandom has changed a lot in 10 years, right? This is the Women in Anime panel. We don't have a plan.
We never have a plan.
So let's introduce ourselves.
Okay, you first.
Oh, okay. My name is Stephanie Sheh, and I started out as a fan of anime in college, and then I've been working in the anime industry since 2001, 2000, so almost 20 years.
Did I work with you on one of your first productions?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
No. My first production was I'm Gonna Be an Angel, and then the one after that was Furikuri.
Oh no.
I think when the first time we were together in that capacity. That was much later.
It was?
That was already like 5 years into me working.
Oh, okay.
But
Does anybody know Digicarrot? Princess Piccola? Princess Piccola.
She was Pyoko and
Pyoko, yes.
she was Robbie and Rose, right? Were you Robbie
and Rose.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I was Gemma.
Okay, didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
No, I think, were you in Aquarian Age?
Yes.
That was the first thing that we were together.
I was in Aquarian Age.
Yeah.
Wasn't that when I ran into Michael Centre Nicholas at the airport in New York? And I played like a phoenix or something in that?
No, that's Phoenix.
Oh, that was Phoenix.
That's Phoenix. That's different than Aquarian Age.
But I was in Aquarian Age, for sure.
You were you were also in Phoenix in the back storyline when it turns, it like goes into feudal Japan, and there was like a fox girl, I think. I think you also brought Henry into the session.
No.
There was one time.
Not that one.
It's not that one. You only brought him once ever, but I feel like it was on Phoenix.
Really?
I feel like.
I don't know. Stephanie and I have known each other a long time. We've known each other a long time.
We're bios. I started out as like a producer, writer type of person, and then I also did some voice acting, and I still do some casting and producing and some voice directing, but mostly acting. Most well known for Sailor Moon. These ladies are also on Sailor Moon. And then, Bleach and Naruto and Gundam and other stuff. Oh my god, I have to burp. And We Bear Bears, which premieres.
I told you about her burping.
Did you tell her about her burping? That was a small one. I was trying to keep it in.
Oh my god. We were doing a Twitch interview in Chicago like last year. And Sheh, in the middle of a sentence, just like, it was like a man burp.
Sometimes they're really cute, and other times they're like man burps.
I was like, how does that noise come out of that pretty little body? Like, I just don't even understand how that happens.
Okay, I'm done with my bio. Who wants to go next?
You go next.
Okay. Let's see. I started working in anime about 25 years ago. When I first moved to LA, and anime was very underground. I wasn't a fan of anime, but I was asked to come audition for some shows at ZRO Studios and Kevin Seymour. So some of the shows I did there was Akira, Ghost in the Shell, playing the Tachikomas. I did a show, Gundam Mobile Suite 8. That was one of the first shows. I think it was the same time. Michelle and I were about the same time. And then Bang Zoom Studios was just starting up, in a garage. Like I said, people were just trading videotapes. It was really, really underground culture, and dubbing wasn't, except for Robotech, and maybe one or two other shows, dubbing wasn't really, as far as actors, we didn't really know how to dub anime. We were learning like on the job. And my first show with Bang Zoom was Ninja Cadets. And I played Sakura in Ninja Cadets, and then I went on to do Magic Knight Rare. I played Lady Asuka, but I sang all the songs in Magic Knight Rare.
I still sing those songs.
Yeah, and then I was asked to sing the opening Freckles theme song for Rurouni Kenshin. And, you know, I do hear a lot of criticism about, you know, those versions, but it's interesting because people don't know we didn't have the technology that we have now. And even all of the Magic Knight Rare songs, I had to work with the Japanese background tracks. And so we received the translation, but it wasn't me, Lex and I, my husband's Lex Lang, we wrote the lyrics. And we had to write them to rhyme with the Japanese background vocals. So those are kind of hidden in there. If you listen really closely, you'll hear the Japanese background vocals in some of the songs, which is so interesting. So
You can search it on YouTube.
Yeah,
and find it. Because I did it recently. It's like, oh, do you remember the English Magic Late Night Rehearse? And do you know Amanda Schuckman? You probably don't know her. But she also like grew up watching. She's like, oh yeah. So then we just got on this kick on YouTube and we're like singing along in English, and also all the old Viz songs like Red Shoe Sunday, which has the weirdest lyrics. My favorite is beep beep beep. This pager's driving me crazy. Just so you know, which has nothing to do with the original translation. It's just because a pager appears in the animation on the screen. Like that's what they wrote. But it's
as
funny.
the English translate the pager, which, does anybody know what a pager is? Yay, old school. When we used to have to go to a phone booth to call our agent.
Or your Motorola flip phone.
Yeah, oh yeah, the big, not a TARDIS, a phone booth, a real phone booth. But anyway, yeah, I've been doing anime since like the mid-90s, so yeah, it's very exciting.
Wow.
Very happy to be here.
Michelle, you've avoided it, but now it's your
I
time.
know, I'm so jet lagged. I'm like trying to think of what I want to say. My mouth and my brain are not connecting very well right now. I'm still on Europe, and I'm still on Greek time, Italy and Greek time. So I started actually in Chicago doing improv theater at Second City and Improv Olympic Players Workshop. And I moved I followed a boy out to LA, and I answered an ad in Backstage West for Ninja Cadets. And that was my first audition and first anime that I did. And it was for Bang Zoom. I showed up at Eric and Kayako's house, and their dog was there, a little dog, and they were like trying to be so, you know, professional, and I remember Eric told me, because we've kind of grown up together, you know, we've all sort of grown up together, because that was like one of their first, I think that was their first production.
It was their first show, yeah.
Yeah, so I booked like a small role, like 18 lines, and I can't remember my character name now, but that was my first anime, and I had no idea what it was. I mean, Chicago was like very industrial. I would do like toys, you know, voices for toys, industrial films, commercials, you know. So anime to me was like this crazy world, and the sync and the dubbing and the whole Japanese culture and everything, just, it was like so brand new. And I remember Bang Zoom for a while. I was doing like, I think I had like 9 shows going on at one time there when Jenny was still, there was a lot of production going on before it left. We've been through a few cycles with anime. There was, you know, it was like the beginning, right? Ghost in the Shell, Robotech, all that stuff. Then
Cowboy Bebop. That was
Cowboy Bebop,
yeah.
Yes. And then it started gaining a lot of popularity. There was so many shows. And I remember going to my first convention. It was SakuraCon in Seattle. and I was like, what is going on? There's a whole culture surrounding this anime, and I had no idea. Like, I had no idea what it was until I showed up. Like, even in the booth recording, you don't know. Like, being asked to go to a convention, they were like, would you, they would like you to come and be a guest at this convention. And I was like, huh? Okay. And then showing up at the convention, and all these people are like, oh, we love your work, can we get your autograph? And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, people appreciate this stuff. You sit in a booth all day recording characters, and you don't know who yours, like, I don't know who's hearing it, where it's going, and what's happening. I mean, now we do.
With the internet,
Yeah,
it's changed everything.
It's changed everything.
Yeah.
So back then it was like you'd have to buy a CD.
You'd have to go to Japantown, actually, right? I mean, they didn't even sell them in
mainstream stores.
Yeah,
You'd have to seek it out.
You have to seek it out or get it from the distributor.
Man, you guys have it so good.
So easy, just click
Back in the day.
Amazon.
It's not like, not for me when I was a fan, but I know people who've been fans older, they would rent the raw anime in VHS tapes with commercials in it, and then they would go online and people would print out translations. And then they would sit there with their thing that they print out from the computer, and they would read it, because it's not even, it was like prior to fan subs. And they'd be like, reading like this, and then like, I used to be in a fan subbing group, and now fan subbers, you can do everything digitally, it's very automatic, it's a little waveform, it's really quick to time. I used to sit there for hours to time the subtitles, start and I'd be like, I just like staring at the numbers go by. And then for every line I have to write down in and out code, and then you'd run it, and you'd be like, that subtitle's a little bit late. Okay, I changed the time, oh, that should last a little longer. Then you'd watch the whole thing again, and then you'd be like, okay, no, these lines are a little bit, that's too short, that's too long, and you'd watch it again, and you'd watch it so many times before you can like produce one episode. On a VHS tape.
That's intense.
That you daisy chain together. So that if you were new to the group, you'd be at the end of the chain, which means your version of the tape would have play, record, play, record, play, record, play, record a million times on your tape, and you'd get the crappier version because you'd be like whatever generation. Like the person at the top of the chain has the clearest picture, and then the person at the bottom of the chain has like the worst picture, because the feed is going through all the cables for each VCR. Does that even make any sense to anybody?
Does anybody remember a show called Risky Safety? Did anybody see that? Michelle, you were Safety.
I was Safety.
And we were like the little devil and angel on the shoulder.
Do you know what that show's about?
Go ahead, tell them.
Which I learned recording. Wendy Leaver directed that. And I learned from her that in Japan, there's a lot of teen suicide because there is so much pressure put on teenagers to do well in school and to succeed and achieve. And this show was made specifically for Japanese teens to help them cope with, teenage suicide and not killing themselves, basically. I mean, that was an intense show.
It was a very intense show.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the show.
You didn't know that?
I didn't
Yeah.
know that, no. Wow.
Yeah.
You were doing something good.
Yes, we were. Well, because I would notice like some of the lines, I was like, this is interesting. Like, what's the subtext here? Like, what's really going on, And
Well, they were really exploring emotions and her emotions and going through depression and feeling for that little boy. And then my character, Risky, who was like the little devil on the shoulder, was almost like a Gollum character in a way, because she like felt compassion for the little girl and wanted to feel good, but then it wasn't her job to do that.
Exactly. So you were torn.
She was torn a lot.
Yeah. So are we taking any
Questions?
Yeah, this was supposed to be about women in anime, and it ended up being about how old we are.
We're,
But yeah,
we're
there's
retro.
there's
We're not
a-
old, we're retro.
There's a mic right over there, so line up and ask your questions.
Sure.
Hello.
I had 2 questions for Stephanie. All right. Last time I came to your panel, you said like Andrea Romano was like, you know, she was a fast talker and all that stuff. In light of her recent retirement, God bless her. When you got to work with her, was she kind of aware of the stuff that you did before? Did she know like there are other voice actors that did anime?
Oh, Andrea Romano?
Yeah.
She never brought it up, so I don't know if she knew or not. I auditioned for the part. I didn't have a callback. They just played my audition, but I have a feeling that there were people on staff of Korra that watched anime or knew anime, because I can't remember, there was one time coming in or out of the session somebody had made some kind of anime reference. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but she never said anything about anime or said anything about knowing my work. We did know each other because we did a convention, like in, I want to say Australia or somewhere, or London or somewhere out of the country. She was a guest at a convention, I was a guest at, so she, you know, she knew who I was based on that, but she didn't say anything about, you know, about like, oh, like your previous work, or oh, blah, 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 anime. No, but I feel like the people who worked on Korra watched anime or knew some anime, because like, you know, Steve was on it, Todd was on it, Epcar was on it, so it didn't, you know, I got the sense that, and also the audience is overlap, you know what I mean? There's like a lot of Eastern themes in it, so.
All right. Second one. Now, let's say I have like this little passion project of mine that's like, say 3 to 4 minutes short, and I have a part that's like only 3 to 7 lines, a minor role. How do you go about auditioning somebody for like a part that's just real quick?
If I had a really small part that I was casting somebody for, I would just put the lines on the paper and then just send it out and say, can you read this? And if it's short, they can read the whole thing and you get a better sense of it. Now, if you're worried about like non-disclosure or secretiveness, then just kind of change the names or change some of the words around, or just write a scene that's very similar and then send that out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Howdy, y'all.
Hi.
So, trying to go along with the theme of the panel,
Women!
wanted to ask you guys, to the extent that you can think of, so speaking of the stereotypes that you end up encountering in anime and so on, and I don't know if it would like upset any studios you try and work for or anything, but what is, have you found stuff that you're like super frustrated, like, oh my god, I have to have my character do this. I don't want to contribute to, you know, this airheaded image or this image or whatever you want. I guess I'm basically, what are there times that you get frustrated by what the material you're given, and what's an example of that you've sort of wanted to be like, do I really have to do it that way?
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
I'm trying to think.
I know in my past experience, I have even turned down roles because they were, you know, what maybe considered not full on what you call hentai, right? It's like, but it was, you know, soft version of that or whatever, and it was just very degrading to the characters and women and sexual references that were just, you know, I drew a line. And I didn't know that when I auditioned. I didn't read any lines like that. But when I showed up for the session, that was my session. And I just kind of bowed out of the project. I said, no, thank you. Because I didn't want to contribute my energy to that in the world. I think that would be the example for me. I mean, otherwise you're an actor and, you know, you're kind of honoring the writing and you're there to be the instrument, you know, so. But when it becomes offensive and just nothing I would want anybody, like my kids or anybody, I don't have kids, but if I did, you know what I mean, teens or whatever. It just doesn't contribute to anything.
If it's like you're doing something that really doesn't have a message in a positive way, like in some way, or puts forth a message, or
like there wasn't even a story. It was just, you know, I guess it's like your
boobs and butt.
Yeah, and like weird stuff. So, but that would probably be that was one time in 20 some years.
Okay. And not to take too long for other people, but for the rest of you, what can you think of?
I think it's really hard because the stereotypes and archetypes of characters are kind of already established in the source material. So the only thing that you can do is, like, as an approach to it as an actor, is kind of like give it something a little bit more. Like, you don't really have that much control over the lines unless the director you're working for has that freedom that tries to alter the lines in a way that makes the moment less sexist or makes the moment less racist or whatever, fill in the blank. Only as an actor, all you can do is you can choose and recognize that, like, oh, this character is very daft or really silly and seems very dumb. You can choose for yourself, I don't think that she's dumb. I think something else. Like, she's really innocent or she's really excited about something, and not try to play a dumb character or to play into a stereotype. So, I mean, I think that that's kind of, from an acting perspective, that's all that you can do. So it's always very exciting still that whenever there's like a strong female character. And then, you know, we all work on Sailor Moon, and everyone's like, yeah, Sailor Moon, female empowerment, woohoo, yeah. But there's a lot of stuff in Sailor Moon that is really messed up.
Oh my God! How did this get on the air?
And a lot of those episodes, I think they cut. Like the American version didn't cut out certain episodes completely because they were like, we can't air that. You know, it's doesn't make sense. So, you know, we'll try to do a few things, but there's always like room to grow. I think it's like as society grows, hopefully characterizations grow.
Evolve.
Yeah. I don't think I can say anything that the two of these ladies haven't said, so yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for the record, I dig Sailor Moon, and I do think she's awesome and just innocent.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So, going off a bit of what he said, Stephanie, you played a character in the Danganronpa series. She was sort of like, on the face, she seemed like the really fan servicey character, but as you got deeper into her story in the game, then she had like this really, really depraved personality. What was it like playing that and sort of like going a bit, sort of flipping the stereotype a little bit?
That character is super complicated and super messed up. But the thing is, that entire show is really perverse. And when I say perverse, I mean perverse, you know. It's an interesting twist, but I just wish the series and the twist had a better payoff, like a better message other than being perverse and shocking and as depraved as possible, which I think that's the thing. And I guess that it's kind of cool and certain people are really into that. It always makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but you know, if you're playing that role, you get in that headspace for the moment, and then after you say your line, you can come out of it and be like,
shake it off.
Shake it off. Exactly.
And for a quick second question too, Michelle and Sandy, you were in probably what was my first anime Chobits, and I was curious what it was like being in that show and what it was like bringing your characters to life of Chi and Sumomo respectively.
You want to? Okay. Well, Chi is one of my babies. I love her so much. That was probably my first pretty challenging role, and I know you guys are like, challenging? All you said was Chi for the first 12 episodes. For real, but I swear on my life, being in the studio, the producer, first of all, there were a lot of cooks in the soup, and they really wanted the emotion to come through in this one word. So all I could say was Chi for like 12 episodes. And it was a specific placement. He's like, I want it, you know, you need to pull it from the back of your throat and it has to come up forward. And I'm like, what, do you want me to stand on one foot and pat my head while I'm doing it too? Like, I mean, it was so technical. And then it was just the whole, like, you know, emotional aspect of it. And I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna do this? Like, can I do this? I don't want to, it's like when you have a character like that, you don't want to disappoint. You know, you don't want to disappoint the fan base because she is so beloved. And she was so sweet, like I just love her. But after, you know, once we found the groove and I found where the placement was and how they wanted her to sound, I was able to bring that emotionality to that one word.
And I think you did a really good job with all the inflection. Like, I felt everything she was.
Oh,
She's such a
thank
great
you.
character.
Thank you.
You and Vin Diesel should get a beer.
You what?
You and Vin Diesel should get a beer.
Really?
Didn't he do the
Groot.
Groot, yeah. And all he could say is, I am Groot. Exactly.
He did a great job too.
I now am envisioning a scene between Chi and Groot.
And Mew from Tales of the Abyss. All I said was Mew. I think I had a lot of one-word characters.
That would be really funny. We should get a hold of Vin.
Yeah, all the one-word characters, like Lynn from Fist of the North Star. Ken! That's like all I said. No, Sumomo was just pure joy. I mean, I just got to play and be silly and have fun and just, you know, I really, it was just pure joy. I got to just play every time I got to voice her in the studio, so that was fun.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad you guys.
And I think Sumomo should be the new Siri voice. We need a version that's Sumomo. Wakey wakey!
Hey, so I was wondering if you wanted to speak a little bit to the theme of the panel. I was.
You mean women in anime?
Women in anime?
Wait, read it, so we all know what it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says
All right.
cat girl, glasses girl, magical girl, total badass, but it says it with dollar signs.
Dollar sign.
What is that you're reading?
That's the description of this panel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, there's more, right?
So Cat Girl, I'm Cat Girl. What was the second?
Glasses girl. I don't know the
Glasses
best.
girl.
Magical girl, total badass. How are females portrayed in stereotyped in anime, and how has that changed over time? Are those portrayals? You can just answer that and then we can continue.
Okay.
She's moderating. She's like our volunteer moderator.
Brava. Huh. Well,
Well, isn't so much of anime, I mean, so much of the stories come out of the culture, of Japanese culture, right? I mean,
Sure, yeah.
stereotypes of women and
whatever the
society,
style of the show is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes out of mythology and there are mystical characters that are created maybe to step outside the boundaries of traditional roles for Japanese women. That could be like a way to look at it, you know, right?
I feel like there's also stereotypes for like boys, right?
Yeah. Well, for everything.
And
This isn't
boy.
boys in anime.
No. I guess I'm saying is that like it's not like just the women that are being stereotyped, like the guys get
The
stereotyped
guys.
as well.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I feel like the stuff that I'm seeing nowadays, we have better female characters.
I think so too.
Yes.
And I'm not an expert in Japanese culture, but if I were to speculate, I think it's because there's more female fans now. I feel like when I used to watch anime and go to cons a long time ago, it would be even more male. So I think now there is like more, since there's the audience for it, they're creating more, you know. I mean, look at like, okay, this is not, they're not girls, obviously, but if you look at like Yuri on Ice, like we're in a society that like, you know, back in the day people would ship they would ship characters together, but it felt like it was always like, even like more underground fandom shipping the characters, you know, but now people are open about their shipping characters more, so I think there has been some things that have changed. I also think that it's gonna sound terrible, but right now it's very trendy to be pro-women, and hopefully it's not just a trend and a fad, and it's actually like we're evolving as a society.
Yeah.
So, but I do see that, but you know, people like to pick up on trends. Ooh,
yeah.
And then they make more, which can be a good thing, because then there's more audience, and then it creates more and more.
I think it's a really good thing, because speaking to what you said, I heard a demographic of the attendance to this year's Comic-Con, and it was more women than men at this year's San Diego Comic-Con.
More women playing video games.
More women attendees. And then what you said, I mean, look at the green movement and the eco movement started as a trend. Let's make it trendy, and now you see recycling bins, you see compost bins, even at this convention center. So hopefully that will be grounded into more media in the future, you know.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you for bringing that. I mean, I agree with Stephanie. I think that like even the characters that I feel like I'm playing over the past, 5-6 years, starting from like Rukia, have been way more like strong and solid, I mean, there's still the archetypal characters that we play, which I think, like Sandy said, is a cultural thing. But that doesn't bother me as much.
No, and I think too, like, we look at what is a strong female character, that doesn't mean she doesn't have vulnerabilities or, things happening in her life, like even the Sailor Moon characters, they're all going through typical teenage issues with boys or issues with school or, and that's not to say they're not a strong female character. I mean, they're actually dealing with those issues and talking about it.
That brings up a good point. I think, like, especially with Sailor Moon Crystal, I think what we're seeing now, and this, I'll be quiet after this, but you're seeing the vulnerable character, the characterization of girls and women who are still functioning on a really high level in society. So it just shows us that we're able to be powerful and vulnerable at the same time.
Yes. And maybe that is the feminine power. Yeah. The rise of the feminine is not being that executive CEO, tough, kick their butt personality, but it's just, being strong with their gifts and talents, and then strong in their femininity.
Yep.
Is that what a magical girl?
That would be Usagi.
You sort of
Chibi Usa.
Did we get the rest of the questions without even knowing it?
Are those portrayals positive, negative, or a big combo of both? And what are the current trends for anime females? So I think
there you go.
Kind of.
Yay!
Boom, bam, boom.
All right, thanks for coming to the panel, guys. Later.
I also was just wondering one more thing. What do you think the role of fan service is? Like going forward, because you were saying that like characters are getting stronger. Do you think fan service could ever? Yeah.
You know what I think the funny thing is, like, the term fan service is kind of, in my mind, it's like a little bit of a derogatory term, because it means that what you're creating doesn't have substance other than, oh, this is gonna make some fan happy. You know, like we just do it because this is popular. You know what I mean? It's almost like a movie producer saying, yeah, what are the top trends? You know, okay, there's this, or just put them all together and make a movie. You know, like that's what I feel is like fan service.
Like Facebook click ads, basically tracking what you like and then giving you more
and then just making
of what you like.
That. So I feel like fan service, that concept is that. So I feel like just baked into that word, it's not necessarily gonna be whatever you create that is fan servicey, unless audience members shun things that are so surfacey, which I don't think will ever happen because there's too many fans and there's too many tastes to cater to, you know?
Well, I think what draws people, or at least me, to the anime is these incredible worlds they create and these universes and these intricate stories. And I think that, you know, Western animation or regular like cartoon series could learn a lot from anime in that way. Not just the art style, but the stories. There's a lot of depth to the stories. And the universes are incredible that are created in the stories within the characters and the relationships. So, you know, I kind of hope they keeping original and bringing us something new instead of like what we've already seen. That's very typically American animation. It's like, this is a really popular show, so let's make 3 more of those kind of shows. 3 more SpongeBob's or 3 more whatever, because that's really popular. And I like to see more creativity and originality in storytelling.
I feel like now in animation there's a trend towards, I mean, you look at Voltron, it's very story driven.
Yeah.
You look at Korra, it was very story driven. Even like something like Steven Universe, which if you watch the first couple episodes, it seems like silly, just like a fun premise. But then the more you get into it, you realize how subversive that show is. And I know recently, like over at Nickelodeon, and they're really fostering like new creators, where they just were like, oh, we like you, so we're just gonna let you do whatever, create, you know. And that's really cool. So I feel like it's kind of going
good
towards that. At least the stuff that I've seen and that I've been able to work on. So.
Thank you. Good question. Yay.
Hello. Good evening. So based on like the stereotype conversation that we had already, I was wondering if there's a character that you've played or a character that you know of in the series that you've worked on that may have like at first started off as like your stereotypical girl that falls into those genres and then completely surprised you in the end.
For me, Hinata was that a lot, because she, like the first is Hinata from Naruto.
Oh.
She just was very quiet and gaspy and just says Naruto, and she was very like one-track mind. But I think that oddly enough, like the lesson for me is, for that character, was that she showed strength in different ways. And she saw something, like in a way, she was like strong enough to see something else in Naruto when nobody else could, and didn't give him a chance, you know? And then in the Chunin exams, her determination and her willing to sacrifice and her willing not give up showed a different kind of strength, not what you think of as traditional strength. So yes, but for me it would be like that.
Anyone else?
I'm so jet lagged right now that I cannot think. I can't think of anything. I'm like totally blank right now.
You know, I try to think of a character too, but I haven't thought of one.
I am.
But that's a great question.
I was thinking like for Michelle Ruff, if you don't mind, like Yoko, because she kind of like, just her outfit alone, like already judgmental sometimes, unfortunately. But then like as the series continued for Gurren Lagann, I I realized, oh my gosh, she's quite badass. It doesn't matter what she's wearing, she's...
Yeah, I guess she is a really good example of that.
Yeah, because the first image I had seeing her, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this character, and then as you continue on with the series, like
You're like, oh yeah.
Yes.
She was like the first character that I played that I was like, bad ass. I really like, you know, as she developed, I was like, yes, this is juicy, you know?
I was suggesting for you, Miss Fox, maybe Chibiusa.
Chibiusa?
Yeah. Just like I mean, like for Crystal, because like you go more, it's more true to the manga, so you can see her complexities.
Yeah, I mean, even in regular and, you know, what is it, S?
I mean, I didn't anticipate
so many
her.
things, but even in the regular Sailor Moon too, I mean, just in the studio when she kind of transforms into Black Lady and she's going through all that negativity and self-doubt and what turns her, you know, what turns her dark, you know, and it's, yeah, I think there's a lot going on with Chibiusa.
Can you follow us around all weekend?
I would gladly.
What's your name?
Maritza.
I'm gonna be Maritza. When someone asks me a question, Maritza?
Yeah, I'll probably be right next to you. Not in a creepy way at all.
Good question. Yay!
Hi. I love you guys and Sailor Moon and everything and Chobits. Hi. My question was there ever a character that you played or maybe that you're watching who's just like falling into like the stupid stereotypes or doing like the stupid mistakes of like someone wrote you badly because you're a woman and I hate that. You just want to sit them down and go, honey, this is how you deal with the situation. Who gave you that kind of reaction and what would you say to them?
Oh, you mean like if this character was real, like a real person?
Yeah, you sit them down and go like, honey, you're not, you need to listen to me.
You're not bad, you're just drawn that way.
That's awesome, Stephanie.
Characters that we played?
Yeah.
One that you watch, if you can't think of one that you've played, that you want to like sit down and give advice because someone wrote them badly.
Like a free therapy session.
I know, maybe an Asterisk Corps. Or me and them together, I played Flora, the little maid.
Yeah.
And you're always sitting me down. She's actually the one sitting me down saying, chill out.
I would pick Mickey from, I can't remember the name of the show right now because I'm...
What does she look like? Describe her. What happens to her?
Sounds like...
This is fun. This is fun. Miki. Marmalade Boy.
Yes. I would be like, honey, you need to calm down. And why is everything always about you? Like, don't be so self-centered.
I think I would tell Haruna, my character in Durarara, to just put down the knife. Put down the knife. Walk away from the knife.
That was a great character.
That was so hard to do. That was those roles where you are flatline, zombie,
You did that.
no motion.
You were so creepy.
I mean, I kept hearing my only direction the whole show was creepy flower. Creepy, delicate flower.
You nailed it, girl.
Scary. Thank you, that was a great question.
Thank you.
What's your stance on women placing limitations on themselves? Like, should you like respect it, or is it like a tendency to give up? And like, is it like choosing between a lesser evil, or like, what's your stance on struggle and how do you approach it?
Can I ask you a question? What do you mean by placing a limitation on himself?
I guess like sometimes like I would prefer, like for example, if she like want to do one thing and maybe like against her will like has a vision sometimes. Totally not thinking of someone yet.
Wait, I'm confused. Do you say a character or a person?
No, it's say like maybe like a
just a person that is thinking in lack and limitation, like I can't do that, or I'll never be able to do that kind of thinking.
Or like purposefully like limit themselves maybe.
Well, I think people, I think our environment and the way that we grow up and our family lives can sometimes do that to us, unfortunately, as women. And, I think we all have voices in our heads that are negative. And you know what I say to those? Because honestly, as actors, as female actors, I don't know about you guys, but it's, it's not an easy road, and there's a lot of rejection and limitations put on you by outside sources. So, there has to be a lot of work done on the inside to combat that and to gain that confidence that you need to feel like you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So, like for me, when I was first starting, I had an acting coach who would say, okay, she cut out this little sticker and she put it in my planner, and it said, "You're fabulous." She said, "I want you to look at that every day and just tell yourself you're fabulous. Then when the voices in your head start, think of something, whatever it is, that you need to do to stop those voices." So I would think of a big sassy lady with her hand in my face saying, "Talk to the hand." So when those, when that voice starts and those things come up where it's like, you can't do that, what are you doing? What are you doing? The fear starts, and, because I think limitations are really based on what you're afraid of. That hand comes up and you go, "Talk to the hand, because I ain't listening. I'm just gonna do it anyway."
I don't believe in putting I don't believe in putting limitations on yourself for any reason, man or woman. I just don't believe in that. I think what's more of a problem is when you are not aware of the limitations that you've put on yourself. They've done many studies when it comes to women in mathematics. A lot of girls don't think that they're good at math. But it's kind of a societal thing that has been placed on them, so they don't try, they don't pursue, they don't seek those avenues in those fields because they just have an idea that they're not interested in it, or they're not, they won't be good at it. So I think it's more careful to try to be very aware and ask yourself, am I putting a limiting belief on me that I'm not aware of? What are the things I'm avoiding? Why am I avoiding it? Why am I afraid of something? Why am I afraid of that? What have people told me about myself to kind of really stop from feeding into these potential limiting beliefs, and that can be associated with being a woman. It could be associated with being a minority. It could be associated with a bunch of things, a background, an economic background, environment, the city you grew up in. Could be so many things. But I think it's very important to always check in with yourself and say, what am I avoiding, and why am I avoiding it? And if it's because there's some kind of fear, why am I afraid of that? Why do I have the beliefs that I have?
I just to add on to both of those, we are a product of our environment, our societal consciousness, and then also family dynamic. We grow up hearing or repeating those family, beliefs, and that becomes our belief, right? Because we're the child that becomes the adult in that environment. But know that there is a lot of science behind that. Our brain is constantly firing neurons, and we can, in 21 days, shift those neurons and reprogram, like saying I'm fabulous, or being around people that see your gifts, or writing down what you're good at, what you love, what you're passionate about, and keep focusing on those positive attributes, and really they will become beliefs. So there's science behind the brain firing new neurons and new belief systems, and you can do that yourself. You don't need anybody else to help you do that. So that's pretty exciting, that we're constantly evolving and changing, and we actually can recreate ourselves, and there's infinite possibility within us. So stay positive and, write down those things that you love and what you love about yourself, and then the brain will start rewiring that way.
Hey guys, thank you for coming to Otakon.
For having us.
I had a question about trends. As society is getting better, or trending at getting better, do you think anime will also diversify? We see creepy cultures with anime. They're fantasy cultures, but they're also Warring Clans Japan, or Europe, medieval Europe, or ancient China. Do you see other amazing cultures that the world has diversifying anime? Do you think that's an option?
I certainly hope it is. I think part of that happening is getting more creators with different stories. I don't know if you guys are following LaShawn Thomas. He is an animator and creator. He worked on Boondocks, and he's American. He's African American, but he has now produced 2 anime pilots. Went to Japan, got the funding. One is called Cannon Busters, and then the other is Children of Ether. And because he's a POC, his stories that he created, I think everybody in the show is POC. Person of color.
Are they also voice acted by people of color?
Yes, they are, because I worked on both of those shows, and that was something very important to us. Yes, I think as an audience member, if you're not a creator, you can push for that kind of change by using your wallets and supporting the type of shows that you want to see. Because in this industry, it's money talks. The most sales in a certain thing, that's what makes a difference. Numbers make a difference. And if you are an aspiring creator, then aspire to create for your community, or even not for your community, but whatever is a more diverse community that you want to see. I think one of the things that I like the most about Brad Pitt right now is, as a producer, he's been really championing and helping to finance a lot of these films that normally would be hard to get made because it's not your traditional type of story.
Thank you very much.
Hey, how's it going? Just a quick question. I wanted to ask, who in your opinion, female protagonist is, which female protagonist in your opinion is the most badass and awesome?
In all of film and television, or anime, or what? Do we have...
Just in general, which, a character that just really resonated with you?
There's so many.
Yeah. I know. How do you pick?
I love the latest Wonder Woman movie. Love.
That was incredible. Diana.
I'm a huge fan of, one of the things that I really like about, I love Star Wars, but one of the things that I've noticed about Star Wars is that it always features a really strong female lead.
Yeah.
And I don't think, there's never a critique about that. It's almost like the lore and the universe is so good that people don't even notice that, it's a female lead, But yeah, so.
Yeah, I would say Star Wars for me, it was Princess Leia. And since Carrie Fisher passed, there's her documentary, but also the documentaries of her early days. She was just 19, and what she was up against, and even in interviews, she did one interview and she did the whole thing in French. It was a French interview, and she actually responded in French and how important she felt that role was at her age to have that strong female character, and it was just she really was the person behind the character, and I really admired her for that. So I'd have to say for me, Princess Leia.
I would have to say Diana from Wonder Woman. I was like, first of all, Gal Gadot.
She's so good.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And did you know that she was pregnant?
Yeah. And did you know she was in the Israeli army?
She's my goddess right now. I just love her. Yeah.
Good question.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more. Sure. Yeah.
Final question, dude.
So I'd like to just kind of further the question she asked about fan service. I know that this is speaking specifically about sexual fan service. I know, like, for example, a show that really bothers me is Mirai Nikki. That is, I don't understand why it's so insanely popular. But one thing that really bothers me is it seems like every other episode or every other scene, there's someone like having their top come off for literally no reason, things like that. But then even further, when you look at a lot of strong female protagonists, such as, Kusanagi in 2003's Ghost in the Shell, or even like Kill La Kill, you have like Ryuko Satsuki. Like even these ones who are really strong, it seems always critically important that there's a lot of scenes of them looking hot. And I, especially as a kid who was like 12 years old watching Ghost in the Shell, remember a lot of Motoko Kusanagi looking hot in that show. Does that, especially when these shows are all directed by men, most of them are written by men except for like Full Metal Alchemist.
That's not true.
Hiromu Arakawa, the mangakas, I don't know, you mean that a lot of them are not directed by men?
There's a lot of female directors.
You mean voiceover directors?
Voiceover directors.
He's talking about animation directors.
Oh,
Because he's talking about the art, they're always drawn. Like even Yoko, she's a badass, right? But she has to be wearing these triangle bikini tops that only cover her nipples.
Yeah.
So could I guess part of my question was gonna be like how much you're removed from that as voice actors. That was one thing I was gonna ask. But then as a follow-up, if, depending on how you feel, how much do you, does the fact that even like Motoko Kusanagi has to look hot make you, like Yoko, like you're talking about, does that make you somewhat cynical about the progress that's being made?
I think that's a really hard thing to unpackage, because even if you look at regular film and entertainment, right? You turn on TV and you look at a sitcom. Like even when you're looking at the mom character in a sitcom, she's like, has to be attractive. She doesn't have to be a supermodel, but she has to be attractive. And you look at the husband and that guy can be schlubby. So that's like already so ingrained in our culture. Would I like to see some of that go away? Definitely. But we don't have any sort of control over that. I think, and even as actors and as women, and we're no spring chicken up here, but there's extra pressure to look a certain way, so I definitely think character designs like that feed into that pressure. So as a society, if we could make it about the character, I'm not saying that they should all wear a bag over their, wear a potato sack, but at the same time,
I feel like those stuff, and this is a really good question.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what people are buying. It goes back to, what are you going to spend your money on? And as long as people are opening their wallets and production companies are making bank from these shows, it's not going to go away. It's never going to go away. Because that's what people want to see.
I think you are perhaps a little bit more evolved and enlightened to pick up on this and to have it concern you. My suggestion would be to bring it up to character designers and to animation directors and just say, hey, I'm a red-blooded male, but girls don't always gotta be half naked. Give them that feedback.
Yeah. Or a certain body type to be, the ideal woman. I think that's what's changing. I think, we talked about, we had that Barbie doll body type, and that overinflated boobs and butt Kardashian look, right? And we're now seeing that whether it's like even in France for the supermodels, they're like, you cannot be that thin anymore. You have to be a normal body weight to be. I know they actually made it like a law in France. Yeah, to regulate that they weren't going to drive women into these like, you know, anorexia to be a runway model. And, you know, hopefully we'll see more different characters, you know, body types, and women can be more accepting of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's your cause, be open and speak out about it. If you are an artist, then draw and create what you would like society to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? It's like change always happens on a grassroots level. So, you know, you may not change the entire world, but you can certainly change people's minds that you're, you know, that you're in contact with, and share your opinions and how you feel about it. You know, you may or may not affect someone, you may change someone's mind. If you have, then you've done, you know, you've done something good for yourself. So
that's the end of our panel.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
I want to leave you with one note. Closing. That just to keep in mind that that feminism is not a bad word. Doesn't mean that we hate men. And two, can we just delete the word bossy from our vocabulary? Just delete it. Don't ever use it again. It's only ever used to describe women and strong women. You don't hear people complaining about a guy being bossy. So let's just delete that word from vocabulary. Thank you.
thanks for coming.